Hello, welcome to the Flicks Forum podcast with Jesse Heater and MJ, where each week we go back and look at a Netflix original film in the order of release. This week we are checking out Netflix's 45th film, the 2017 neo-noir supernatural thriller Death Note. It's directed by Adam Wingard, stars Nat Wolff, Lakeith Stanfield, Margaret Qualley, Shea Whigham, Paul Nakauchi, Jason Liles and Willem Dafoe. Good evening.
Hey mate.
G'day mate.
Good to be back.
Before we start, can we comment on Heath's brutally deep voice from illness right now, but he's got out of his deathbed to join us.
Yeah, so apologies if I break out into a coughing fit. I will try and keep that to a minimum, but I'm about to die.
He's so deep.
Dedication to the show is what I'm calling it.
Monotone.
So we like to kick off our show with a 30-second summary, or not 30 seconds, but whatever long we want to do, summary of the film. We call it Fast Flicks. Heater, go for it. Start us off while you got some voice.
All right. A high school student discovers a notebook that gives him the power to kill anybody he wants. He tries to use it for vigilante justice and is soon pursued by a determined detective.
Nice. MJ?
I hope yours is a bit different, Jesse, because I found it really hard to write this without it being like so obvious. A Final Destination-esque thriller that pairs a demon of death with a teenage boy, essentially giving him the power to kill anyone he wants.
Nice. Good little different take.
Tried really hard.
It's hard to not be like, this is what happened and this is what happened. And
It's hard not to do like an IMDb summary of it.
So I've gone, a mysterious book drops from the sky. When written in with a person's name and memory of their face, can kill. When a young man discovers it, will he use it for good?
I think
Questions are back.
Yes.
I missed the bit where the book actually like fell from the sky. I don't know what I was doing, whether I sneezed or something. But the next minute I looked up and he had the book, and I was like, I thought he just like picked it up off the ground.
On the ground. Yeah, I don't think that's too important, really. It kind of fell down from the sky.
Whilst they were having football practice, right?
And cheerleader practice.
Cheerleader practice. That they stopped because it started raining.
Yeah.
What sort of footballers stopped
pretty bad
because
football
it started
team.
raining?
They've even got helmets on too.
And also, I know I'm digging a bit too deep already, but how often is he sitting there studying during sports practice while everyone else is playing their sports?
Like, why would you watch
why
sports
doesn't he
while you
just
study?
go to
Like,
the
go to the library.
No, isn't he setting up his little business there so he can sell his
I
results
suppose he's
for
got to be
the
close
jocks?
to all the jocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He's got to sell his
Great answer.
little... Yeah.
That's why I asked it.
Good question. I liked it. All right. We like to check out what we've learnt about the film or any interesting information that we've seen. So I'll kick it off. This is based on a manga which was published in the Show and Jump. So do you guys know anything about Show and Jump?
No.
No.
All right. So Show and Jump's, I don't even know if it's weekly, monthly, but it's this manga magazine in Japan, which literally puts together like an episodic. There's like 4 or 5 different series or stories, and they're put together in like this magazine that you can pick up and read and follow like monthly along with the characters and the stories.
Okay.
So
So they update it each month. There's a different story.
yeah, it's like I'm not sure originally how this one worked, but it was either like the month or the week, and they just
Generally.
added a different sort of chapter. So
Okay.
yeah.
What I didn't know is that you own the manga book, which you've got as a prop.
I
for
bought
a
it as a prop
recording.
for an audio recording, which is quite interesting. So I purchased the first volume of Death Note quite a while ago, and it's still, the pages are still very crisp.
That's a very pretty looking book, though.
It's pretty good nick,
It's
doesn't it?
Yeah, it's called the Black Edition, and it's obviously
black.
very nice.
Pages are black.
Yeah.
So why'd you get it originally?
I wanted to sit down and read this story because I'd heard good things about this story.
Okay.
And it's extremely popular, has a massive fan base, and is it's seen as one of the best sort of manga stories around. So.
We're gonna put a picture of that up after you've watched this episode, so you guys can see what we're talking about, because it is a very pretty publication.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you say that about how popular it was. I was blown away by the numbers of people that had watched this when I was looking at the rating to see the critical consensus.
Yeah.
68,000 people on IMDb have rated this. So not only watched, they've actually gone out of their way to rate it. And I don't think we've had a film with numbers that high out of the 45 Netflix films that we've done so far.
No.
And I'd never heard of this film.
We struggle for 1,000 sometimes.
We do. Sometimes we just trickle over 4 figures. And regardless of, the fact that there was quite a lot of, negative backlash around it, and there were a few issues that I'm sure we'll get into in a sec, but I just couldn't believe how popular this film was. And had you heard about Hater?
I'd never heard of it at all.
When it first came out, I added it to my watch list straight away, but it had just sat there the whole time. I hadn't watched it. When I started this, it's like, do you want to continue watching? I'm like, and I literally got a minute in. So I had the intention.
So it was always sitting there saying, can you watch?
Yeah,
I've done that before as well. I watched like a minute or something and it kept saying, do you want to keep watching? And I'm like, I didn't really watch it. Like, so you can probably do this better than me, Jesse, but the original manga series went from 2003 to 2006.
Yep, so it's a pretty short-running manga.
What you've got there, is that all 12 volumes?
No, this is volume 1 and 2 in one condensed volume. So, yeah.
That followed on from an anime television adaptation from 06 and 07, which was 37 episodes.
Yep.
Numerous video games, mainly on Nintendo DS, I believe. And then 3 live-action films, Japanese films. And this being the first American remake of it. That's kind of the backstory of Death Note. So
I mentioned on this podcast when we did the episode on Blam that that I have a class at school that love their Japanese culture and their anime and manga. And, when I spoke to them, like, I'm going to watch Death Note sort of soon. And, I said, I'll let you know what I think. And I watched it. And then they're sort of like, well, you need to watch the actual anime. Okay. Like, just promise me that you'll watch an episode. So over the weekend, I watched the first episode. I just watched the one episode, just on the train on the way to the footy. Just thought, I'll give it a crack, just to sort of see it and just to see the comparison.
Was the first episode?
Yeah, just the first. Yep. So yeah,
was it good, the first episode?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's hard when you Americanize something that has such a distinct style in a culture where they're used to that sort of style, and based obviously like. We spoke about the ratings on IMDb, pretty negative, really, I guess, when you look at like such the large amount of ratings. Yeah. And I think that's probably because it's a different retelling of this story than what people love and what they're used to. I think that's probably the issue. Because you look, on Rotten Tomatoes, it had a 24% audience rating on nearly 6,000 ratings. That's pretty low, very low.
What was the critics on Rotten Tomatoes?
Critics on Rotten Tomatoes was 39 on 72 reviews.
Still pretty low, but a lot of reviews as well.
So yeah, obviously, yeah. So,
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of kind of what I saw in terms of the criticism is they weren't criticising it based on kind of like the movie based on its merit. It's just a movie. Like, what a criticism was for the adaptation of the movie from the actual manga, saying it's crap. It doesn't go along with what the manga was. Yeah, that was more the criticism than it just as a general.
I think particularly the criticism was around the whitewashing.
Yeah, and that as well. Yeah.
Especially because this would have been a similar time to Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, we haven't really spoken about this. What are our thoughts on? Let's use this as an example with the backlash on whitewashing of this film, knowing that we don't have a huge relationship with the source material. Do you guys think it's justified backlash?
It's tricky because it's like it's tricky because if you look at, for example, The Departed, which has won an Academy Award for Best Picture, you take that film is an adaptation of a very distinct Asian film,
and a great one too. And
both films are very good. And you take that and you can completely change the cast for an American audience. However, that receives accolades. Whereas with this one, the creators of the Death Note manga came out and supported and said, yeah, we get that it's different to the original work, but it's made it for a bigger, wider audience. So maybe we shouldn't be criticizing that necessarily. But me watching as well, I'm like, why couldn't they have used an Asian American cast?
Yeah, and the argument was that they set the net wide, and they had Asian people apply for the roles, and they went with who they thought the best person was. It's such a tricky one because I think to that note of yes, you're setting this very Japanese kind of story in Seattle, therefore making it an American story.
Yeah,
I think there's so much of the Japanese culture embedded in this narrative that it kind of doesn't work without it. And I guess a lot of that's to do with like the God of Death, which not really familiar with that, and we don't in Western society really have much to do with the God of Death, but quite prominent in Japanese society. So maybe there could have been more done there. I find it a really difficult one because if you are trying to adapt a film and make it different in the way that you want to tell the story, then there's some sort of creative license there. But
yeah, and yeah, I don't know if there is a right or wrong answer, but obviously the reception has been that it was poorly done. I guess is what you can sort of take from it, I guess.
Adam Wingard, the director, had to delete Twitter eventually because he was receiving
hate.
Death threats.
Death threats.
Yeah,
it's no good.
And he was really into the project, and to the point that I think Warner Brothers initially had this.
Yep.
And they because I know Adam Wingard's done some work for Warner Brothers in the past, specifically Blair Witch was a Warner film.
Yep.
And he was so passionate about the project, they actually let him go to another studio and work on it, when Netflix picked it up and bought the rights. So I feel sorry for the guy. I mean, he's being creative and he's passionate about something.
Yeah.
When I was looking into this film had probably the most comprehensive goofs, continuity errors on any film that I've seen of any of the Netflix films, and I think that's probably because of the passionate fan base around it.
Everyone's picking up on
it.
it.
So they'd be going in and just uploading all the different ones. And
while I've had the intention of looking into this series, to me, I wasn't picking up on them because I didn't have this affinity with the characters, I guess, or this connection. There's a couple of other things that I saw about the film which I thought was interesting. So during post-production, the office was broken into and a flash drive containing some of the visual effects.
I did read that,
scenes were stolen. That's pretty sloppy. And
then L was one that broke in.
Ooh, maybe. And then a few months after the release, it was just another sort of controversy where it was discovered that the images of the train accident in the film was real footage of a 2010 train collision in Belgium where 19 people died.
Yeah.
Hang on.
I read that.
It really was? Or they thought it was?
They actually used it.
They actually used real footage.
So both the rail operator and the survivors have said, this is so disrespectful.
And that is so bad.
That's a bit of a, you'd think about that. Surely that so many people would have touched this film in some way that you would have been
someone speaks up and says, hey guys, maybe this isn't a good idea.
Or where did we get this footage from? Because I don't remember shooting that footage.
Films would use stock footage all the time. There is a chance that just slipped through the cracks and someone's like, hey, this is perfect. And then the editor and director look at it and go, this is perfect.
And just no one asked where it came from. And
the other thing was, I don't know if you know, so one of the MacGuffins, I guess, is that calculus book throughout the film that they use. So they actually had to get the permission from the calculus book from 1970 to use it with permission.
1970?
Yeah, so apparently that's the first time it was the calculus textbook was copyrighted. So 1970. Sorry, so that's when they.
Okay, so the publication wasn't from 1970. I was like, I didn't think it was that old.
Yeah.
That's cool. Good on them.
And I guess there's a sequel in the works.
So that was that is true,
Yeah.
I was looking around.
It's true.
But then look at these numbers. People bloody watched it.
Yeah.
So, if you're Netflix...
Even if you cop that criticism, you're like, hey, we still got all those people to watch it.
So I'm watching this film without that knowledge. You're obviously watching this film without this.
Correct.
I knew that it was based on manga only because I think you said it at the end of last episode.
Okay.
You might have mentioned it.
Probably.
That's the only thing I knew, but I didn't think it was popular or I didn't know anything about it. And I was watching this film and I was thinking... Oh, not many people will watch this film. That's what I was thinking the whole time. Like, this will just be a small one that no one's really seen. And, this is not a bad idea. And then it just blew me away. And then you hear all these things about making a sequel and the numbers are obviously great.
That's crazy.
Has anyone got anything else I want to discuss or go into our early thoughts?
No, I think that was all for me as well.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, what did we think? Start off with.
You go first, Jesse. You never go first. I want to.
Okay, I thought I was going to hate this film from the start, and
from before watching it, or from when you started watching it.
A bit of both. The opening, the first few scenes, I was like, oh, don't know how this is going to land, but then I got quite involved in the story, and I was sort of wanting to know where it was going to go and what was going to happen. So, yeah, I didn't mind it.
You're really similar to me.
Yeah,
I was kind of into the story.
Yeah.
And I found so many flaws throughout it that bothered me, and they bothered me whilst I was watching it.
Good, because I have many questions.
But I liked the darkness to it, even though I thought it could have been a bit darker. I think Ryuk, for example, felt really fantastical and not scary. But I liked the concept, and I was similar to you. I was just intrigued how it was going to end up.
Yeah, Hater.
Pretty similar. In general, I'd say I think it was a pretty crappy movie. But I was really enjoying it, and I wanted to know what was happening. but whilst at the same time going, this movie's not great, but I'm pretty in, kind of. Yeah. So I think it was crap, but I enjoyed it. So it was a weird summary of it.
Death Note 2 comes out, I'm probably like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let's have a look and see where that ends up.
I'll watch it at some point, probably.
That's cool.
I guess some other things that we didn't really look at was so this actually had a cinematic debut at Fright Fest in the UK. On the 24th of August 2017, and then was released on Netflix the next day worldwide.
Okay.
And they had there that they spent $40 million on this.
Huh?
Had a budget of 40
I did see
million.
that budget, 40 mil.
That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
Where it went.
Like, especially, I know it's not a horror, but for a somewhat horror, it's got horror themes to it. A lot of horror films can be done on the cheap.
Yeah.
I reckon. Oh, actually, I was going to say Blair Witch probably wasn't even done for 40 mil that Adam Wingard did.
No.
Wow. Okay.
And it was filmed in and around Seattle in the USA as well as Vancouver in Canada. So we should look at some characters maybe.
Oh, I wish I had told me that. I would have done my comparisons of $40 million films.
I saw that
I've missed
the other
that.
day and was hoping that you would.
I was like,
I wonder what other films there's. I can't wait for MJ to tell me what other films were.
I'm not going to look into it, MJ.
MJ does it. It's too silly.
I need the budget to be right in my face because otherwise I don't look for it. Obviously it was and I missed it. But
All right,
damn it.
let's
sorry,
look.
boys.
Let's look at some characters.
Let's look at this movie.
Let's look at Light. I think you need to start off with Light.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to realize his name was Light.
They didn't reveal that till pretty.
like halfway through.
Yeah. And then
Strange name.
I think in my notes I just kept saying like him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or main guy. or guy. I think he was Guy for me.
What do you think of Light, Jesse?
Didn't like him as a character. I thought he was quite annoying. And apart from that revenge story of his mother's death, I never really felt he was in for that cause. I didn't feel like he was in. And we'll probably talk about Mia later, but yeah, I didn't feel like he was in for that cause, really. It was just literally, he wanted revenge for his mother's death, and then I didn't feel that he was in for the rest of it, really.
Yeah, I felt like he, how old is he? Is he in the movie? 16, 17?
Yeah.
Was very kind of nonsensical to killing people. Like,
He was,
was
wasn't
very,
he?
very not affected by the fact that he killed a lot of people.
I think that's the film in general though. The film completely took away
Like,
any sort of power of death. Like,
Yeah.
Death meant nothing. As soon as you saw Kenny die at the start,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, so death's
Yeah.
pretty easy to come by. in this.
exactly.
It
I
doesn't really-
was just kind of, like, watching that first death, and I was like, oh, okay, like, he wasn't really sure what he was doing, and then he kills the person responsible for his mother's death, and it's kind of like, okay, yeah. But then all these other people, and he just seems so casual about it. I was like, you're pretty messed up, kid.
Yeah, well, he's
just-
as messed up as his missus. But
Jeez.
I like Light for me it just wasn't that compelling as a lead. Like he tried to use the power for good, and the power got a little bit out of control, and he tried to rein it in, and this was all kind of nice and all right, normal what you would do, but he just was a bit bland.
Yeah.
I don't know the word for it because I mean he did have the balls and the brains to sort of fight back and sort of take it all the way. In the end, is a really crafty way that he finishes it and gets out of it. So it was all right, but the whole time I don't know, he was just lacking a bit of a punch. For
Yeah.
me.
So
as a character.
But I also think that probably goes in with who portrayed him as the character
was
as well.
it more casting correctly? Like, it was Nat Wolff, maybe not the right person for the leading role.
Probably could have sold it a bit more. It's a good point. I wrote the note. He reminded me so much of the kid from Hereditary. It was driving me crazy. It's his brother.
Wow.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I checked IMDb and I'm like, okay, not in Hereditary. I'm like, God, that really bothers me. And then a few days later, I checked. I'm like, who is the guy from Hereditary then? And I checked that, and I'm like,
Same
surname's Wolf. And I look, and they're bloody brothers. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad that I figured that out because it was driving me crazy.
It's a good pickup.
Yeah.
What
I was
about
Yeah, no, I was going to mention it anyway. I'm like,
Yeah.
he reminded me of the guy from Hereditary, even without.
What about Mia? His love interest and sidekick.
Oh,
Yes,
she
tell
had
us.
she had some issues. I'm assuming we weren't supposed to like her because I hated her.
Yep.
Just found her really annoying at the start, and then just really nuts. And you're just like, why are you doing this? I want to punch you in the face because you're not doing what I would want you to do.
That's a good point. A lot of what I struggled with in the film revolved around this character. I didn't understand
her motivations as well.
Well, I didn't understand her motive because it felt like it was more than just wanting power.
She quickly went, hey, let's kill all these people, like really turned real dark real quickly and was like, why?
Became a genuine psychopath.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
There was we never really were fed enough for me to believe that was happening.
Yeah, it seemed like she was being like consumed by the book, like, and wanting to kill people, and like she had to put names down there when it wasn't even hers, and she was just.
And then obviously I didn't understand Light's obsession with her in the first place.
Yeah.
She felt like a pretty normal kind of cheerleader, and then she was with a guy in one of those opening scenes, and she just felt really normal.
Was it just kind of like the high school, like kind of like the nerd gets the cheerleader?
Somewhat,
kind of
yeah.
thing?
But that didn't explain why she was so crazy.
I don't think they explained a lot of things.
No, and for me, her character sort of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like...
It was very much, she like kind of wasn't in there and then was in fully as like a main person, and you're like, oh, wow.
Like to me, she was just seedy the whole time. Like, couldn't connect with her. Because I think that's probably because, like you guys have said, what were her motives? You don't know her motives.
No, exactly. Well, I'm curious, when you watched that one episode of manga, obviously Lai was in it.
Yep.
Was any sort of Mia character in it?
Nope.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, so that's a new character made for...
I think she's probably in it, but that's a 37 episode.
okay.
Yeah, no, that's what I wasn't sure.
Okay, yeah, I see what you mean.
And even if she wasn't in it,
And if you watch any manga, it's all about the long, drawn-out story. So the first episode, to me, like, nothing happened.
Okay.
Really, yeah. But it was good. Like, it was still good. Al.
Hey, is that the girl from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Could be.
The one that Brad Pitt takes on the...
Could be.
Let me look it up now quickly.
With the feet
Yes,
up.
yeah, it
feet
was.
up.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the one who hitchhikes.
Yep.
Should have had some manky feet in that film.
Yeah,
Up on the-
Yeah.
All hippies did.
The unshaved arms as well, quite hairy. Yeah, that was her.
Nothing wrong with that here.
No, not at all. All right, so
Yourself.
Al, Lakeith Stanfield.
He really annoyed me at first.
Yep.
It felt like overacting with a poorly written character. So just like this really bad recipe. But I think they just pushed too hard early on trying to make you understand him and his background right away. Because once I kind of got a vibe of who he was and where he'd come from, I was pretty interested in him. But at the start, he drove me crazy. But I got more interested in him when he got more desperate. When he knew something was wrong and he didn't have the means to fix it, because it really humanized him. And it made me stop thinking he's like this robot that's just going to catch everyone because he's so smart.
I liked him and I didn't. I get that he represented good in this film, but I didn't necessarily connect with that development of him as that character growing up in that orphanage or whatever to understand his motives, really. Like, it was more...
Grey,
they're not his motives, they're someone else's motives.
Yeah. He's like a lab rat.
Yeah. What about the dad? What about Light's dad?
So,
Another crappy cop?
so I have a great story with Shea Whigham. Actually, it's not a great story. It's a great story that resonates with me.
Yeah.
But he looks like a guy I used to work with.
Oh,
like,
good.
insanely similar. And this is when we worked in film advertising, and we were working on the Kong Skull Island film. And he's in...
Which he's in,
in Kong Skull Island, and his character in Kong Skull Island was exactly the same guy as the guy we work with, and we just got blown away. So Shea Whigham's one of those like guys who I've IMDb'd once, and I keep him in my back pocket, and every time I see the name Shea Whigham, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see him again.
And he's also in so many things.
He's just the guy.
He just plays that guy in so many different movies.
I can't tell you how much he looks like my mate. It's absurd. Anyway, I kind of liked him.
Yeah.
I liked the balance between like being the main cop on the job versus being dad.
Yeah, I did like that too, and kind of, how he comes to the defense of Light and things like that. Yeah, I thought he was a really good character, real good dad, real good cop.
Yeah, I felt like he was doing his best.
He was.
It was a good commentary on that father-son dynamic, actually.
Yeah.
Because it was detached and emotionless, like a lot of father-son relationships can be. But there was that care and understanding, and when things got tough, by God, he'd put his son before everything.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, he was a good character. I thought he was going to be the smallest bit part, but became quite a big role.
Yeah, he was really good.
Ryuk. Death. I don't know if it's my issue with the character or the casting, because it was like the Green Goblin from Spider-Man. That's all it was to me. Whenever he came on the screen, I was just like, it's just
Willem
literally
Dafoe,
Willem Dafoe
the voice,
as the Green Goblin from Spider-Man, and it was exactly the same voice that he put on, like that evil sort of.
I seriously can't even comment on the character because I don't know anything about the character.
Yeah. I think we just saw in your manga kind of what he looked like, which gives me a bit more reference. But when he came on, I was like, he just looks like the costume and stuff. I thought it looked really bad, and I'm like, this looks really like a poor amateur movie where real bad like costumes and dress ups. I'm like, oh, and then I saw the picture and it's kind of saw what they're going with, but I just didn't think he looked really great.
They did a decent
villain.
job when they introduced him, because when that first encounter happens and there's stuff flying around the room and the lights go out, every time you see him, he's out of focus. So you kind of a little bit frightened because what is this thing?
Yeah.
And as soon as they reveal him, like any fear with him is just completely gone.
Oh yeah, it's just kind of funny.
It would have been better if they had kept him, whether in the shadows or at least for 3/4 of the film that you don't see him.
You don't see what he looks like.
You see his size and
things are often more scary when you can't see them.
they always are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think they used so they had a guy dressed up in the outfit and then they CGI'd the face.
Yeah.
And Willem Dafoe just did the voice.
Well, there's another bloke who's credited with being him in there. I'm assuming it's a big dude.
So I didn't have Kira. I don't know if you classify Kira as a character because it's a combination of the two kids together. But
really,
I don't know. And then Watari was that other one. I thought he was a nothing character.
100%.
Realistically,
he was nothing.
Yeah,
Just
nothing at all.
a filler kind of.
I'm assuming that the manga. It was L in your episode.
In
your manga episode was L. Lakeith Stanfield's character?
No, detective.
No. It was very early. It was just a set-up episode, literally of him
figured.
finding the book, and that was it.
Yeah, okay. So Ryuk was in it?
Yeah. You spoke about Adam Wingard before, and he's directed a lot of horror. So, to me, as a horror director, he didn't really get this. I didn't get scared in this film.
No, I don't think the intention ever was to get scared. But I think he...
Or tension almost.
I think he should have used some more horror cues. And I think he deliberately didn't because he was telling a different story. But I think it's definitely a missed opportunity.
He's directed a few of these little short... You said he's directed Blair Witch before, and he's directed a few of those segments in those little horror anthologies that I spoke about before, the ABCs of Death.
Yeah.
So he's done one on that, and he's done one on that VHS one, which has got the similar sort of upset. And sort of a reference here as well. He's directing the new upcoming Godzilla vs. Kong film.
King Kong,
Yeah. Tie that in with...
I just saw you looking at Godzilla on... Is that what you're looking at?
Yes, I'm looking at. Yeah, he's doing Godzilla and King Kong, which comes out next year.
Yeah, because I was reading about whether he was going to do number 2, the sequel for this. Firstly, I'm sure he's not because he doesn't want to. And secondly, it said there was a clash with... Because that's another... He's a Warner Brothers... He's like a Warner Brothers director.
The only thing about the cast is maybe not such a white cast. That's all I can say about the cast.
Yeah, but the second main character or third main character was African American.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm not sure on the main guy as a leading man for a movie.
Yeah, it's a big call.
Wow. I hate his kiss of death.
Sorry, mate.
All right, do you want to look at some scenes?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, MJ, kick us off. We'll start us off. What are some standout scenes? What did you like?
Yeah, okay. I mean, just looking at what I did like, it took me a while to really get into it. And the scenes that I did like were certainly in the back half of the film. The first time I really got into it, I think, was that scene at the diner when Elle confronts Light. God, they both start with L.
Yeah.
And you see the desperation of both characters coming to it. I think it was exciting to find Light actually under the pump and knowing that someone's looking for him, and also Elle learning more about what he has to do to try and win this. Because at the end of the day, the concept of how they're killing people is so absurd that you're never going to be able to guess it. So seeing Elle actually try and uncover it was really interesting because it actually meant we were getting somewhere.
I had that in my scenes that I didn't necessarily like. Not because of what you've said, but because I think that would have been an awesome scene reading that in the manga. And I just don't think it translated too well to the film. Because I reckon that would have been a perfect scene in a manga where you're reading through, you're trying to catch up with it, read the dialogue as quickly as possible because you want to see where this conversation's going. But to me, it just didn't sit well on the screen.
Why not?
It seemed forced a little bit, and it just seemed like the way it was set up would be perfect for a frame by frame discussion rather than a camera scene with two people talking.
I agree with that. I do agree with that.
What are you saying there?
Yeah. Sorry, keep going.
No, I enjoyed the end chase scene with Light running away from Elle. You could argue that it went for a little bit too long, but I actually enjoyed all of it. And again, I think whenever I found Elle in his most desperate state was when I was most into this film. And the only other one that I did like was the end credits scene. How it continued playing The Power of Love and showing the shots of the cast.
Yeah,
in
that was
their
good.
natural state.
Yeah, that was good.
That was really cool.
I like that, seeing all the guys just...
No!
Oh, Jesse didn't like it. It was good.
It was so off compared to the rest of the film.
That was fine. That was completely fine.
The film was over by then.
I know the film, but why do you need that? What's the point of having shots of actors in front of green screens laughing, having fun when...
To show they had fun making the movie together.
But I also
You got a serious ending.
it played really nicely with the music, and I'll get to the music later. The music was fantastic. It played really nicely that they kept that big love ballad going on, and the what's the word, the cartoonness of the credit sequence worked really well too. I just thought it was really great. I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
That's all for me.
Peter?
Well, I was saying before, I think my probably favourite scene was probably that diner confrontation. I really like that. The only other probably one that I have that MJ didn't, and talking about the music, was just the opening, and with Reckless playing over, showing Crawl playing. I'm like, oh, I think I've said this probably a few times, maybe Flix Forum films, the opening scene with a good song playing. I'm like, oh, here we go, we're in for a good start.
There was,
but yeah, I thought
In Excess as well.
Yeah.
There was a bit of an Aussie flavour to this music.
Yeah, that was good.
Then the next song after
music.
the Excess one, I was like, oh, is this an Aussie band that I don't know?
Yeah.
I looked up and there was an American band. I was like, oh,
I was thinking, like, is this all going to be Australian music?
Yeah, no, there's some good music in there. So just that opening with Reckless playing.
It was
over,
a cool version
that's
of
pretty
Reckless
Cool.
too.
It was really
kind of
cool.
annoyed me that they cut the song off so quickly. I wanted to
I wanted to get a full one. Just keep playing this for a few minutes. It's fine. But that was really good as well.
That murder scene, the first sort of one with Kenny with his decapitation with that ladder falling off, I was like, wow, that's graphic. That got I goes, whoa, okay.
There was a
Pretty
warning.
gruesome, wasn't it?
I did note the warning at the very start of the film. Strong blood and gore, strong horror themes straight away popped up on the screen. So I was kind of expecting that.
Yeah, that got me. I liked when to differentiate between these scenes that are happening in Light's world to the ones where he's setting up these murders. Like, you had that grainy sort of feel on the screen, and I really appreciated that they distinguished that so you could work out that... Because sometimes those cuts were really random, and I thought it was a really good way to distinguish between what was happening in Light's actual physical world and what he's creating in the other sort of world as well.
Yeah, okay.
Again, that scene where all the agents just walk in sync upstairs and then off the building... I don't know, it was just mesmerized. I'm like, how can, like, I don't know, it was just shot really well. Just shocked me, really, just to be like, whoa, what, I really, oh yeah, wow.
Yeah,
like,
it happened.
Yeah.
The power of the notebook.
Yeah.
Death Note.
I really liked the scene where the dad does that press conference. I thought, I was like, that is such a good move.
You fearless bastard.
Yeah, having engaged, I'm like, that is such a good move. Let's see what happens. And I never thought that Light was going to attack him or
So that's
target
another
him.
thing that really pissed me off about Mia, is when she got annoyed at him for not killing his own dad.
Are
And
you serious? Like
she didn't even register that was a
thing. Like, if that's your dad, you're not going to happen.
Yeah, she just kind of lost any credibility as a reliable character or real person, even.
And there were these tilted angles throughout too, which I really liked visually. Just sort of fit in well with this. It's an adaptation of a manga, and I thought that fit in really well with these close shots. And like you said, I like that chase scene through the streets. The up-tempo music was awesome. Last one I've got was that Ferris scene wheel at the end. I just thought...
that was pretty cool.
It's pretty cool,
when you think about it.
Like, it's pretty cool. They've got these people hanging off a Ferris wheel. It was pretty cool. For a Netflix film.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'll take that.
I wonder
Where that budget went.
Yeah.
No, I reckon the budget went with the bloody soundtrack.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's
Or
fair.
the scene in the classroom where everything's flying.
Did it bother you that no one came in and was just like, what did you just do here, man?
The whole time I'm thinking, how's he going to explain this when the teacher comes in and he's in detention and just destroy anything? Like, what's he going to do? And it just didn't happen.
Forgettable stuff?
I don't know, actually. This isn't in my forgettable scenes, and actually you guys might mention your forgettable scenes. What did you guys think of the end? How he basically wrote everything that happened and completely like nailed it. He's like, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And you find out at the end, this guy's going to get the book and he's going to bring it back to me and he's going to kill him. Were you like, oh, cool, that's clever? Or were you like, I kind of forgotten about it.
Yeah.
But I think at the time I was like, okay, I'm okay with that.
It confused me a bit to start with, because when you see the guy going to the water, I'm like, who on earth is this guy and why does he know? And then obviously the next scene it explains it.
Yeah.
I don't like this is a fantasy sort of
Yeah,
story.
no, I don't
Yeah.
mean whether it's feasible. I just mean
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of cool, a bit confusing, but kind of cool when
and
you
a
think
little bit
about
of a cop
how
out,
it
I
all
guess.
worked out. Yeah,
I did like it when
was
he
a
said like,
bit
"Don't take the book," and then she took the book and died, and she was going to die, and then obviously his page burnt, and I was like, "Oh, how did he get that?" I know he physically wrote, "My page is going to get burnt," and I thought it was all right. Like, if you didn't like this movie, you could be like, "Oh, what a cop out ending!" He didn't know what was going to happen. But,
Yeah. There's two ways of looking at it, isn't it?
yeah, but so
there you go.
it didn't stand out either way for you guys.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have said it was bad. I would have said it was really good. It was just, that's all right.
I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What MJ? What?
I'm sick of hearing my own voice. So
No, I like your voice.
I don't actually have a specific scene, but I really found the first part of the film, let's say 20 minutes to half an hour, everything was moving really quickly, and I wasn't quite keeping up with it. Like, I wasn't getting lost, but I was like, you're really rushing through everything here.
Massively.
And it
Absolutely agree with that. There's so many things I'm like, well, that was just really quick that you went from like this is the state of play in the movie to this now. And it's like, well, we've just missed out on so much content here.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And I guess when you're trying to adapt something so big and there's got so many rules to it.
Yeah.
Like,
it was pretty hard to bring
they
it down.
basically just said, hey, you write someone's name and tell them how you're going to die, and they're going to die. You're like, oh, okay, I need to know more. No, that's what
that's
happens.
it. That's
And
just,
the rush through the rules was really quick as well.
There weren't any rules, really. Like, he's reading through these rules, but none of them meant anything.
Yeah.
His book was
he had a
really
book of rules
fat.
that we didn't really like learn about. Yeah, it was a lot of stuff I think was rushed through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Talking about forgettable scenes, I've written something down and I've completely forgotten. Like, I don't even remember this scene.
What did you write? Let's try and
I'm
decipher
not sure if
it.
it was in the movie. It's got the limo scene with the guy singing. Was there a scene in a limo with the guy singing?
It doesn't ring a bell for me.
This could have been from something else. But if there was a limo scene in Death Note with the guy singing, I didn't like it.
Yeah, no, I remember it now.
Oh, you
when
did?
he's
Owls in
when
it?
he's putting Elle to sleep.
Oh, yeah. That was really weird. Yeah, that's right.
He's like
I do
singing,
remember it
singing
now.
or something.
And he's singing, yeah, that was really weird.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm glad. I didn't know. That was the only other one I had. And I'm just looking at it going, I don't even remember the scene in the movie. It's been a few days.
The scene where Light is in that classroom when we first meet Ryok, he's screaming.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god. I was just like, wow, that is some poor screaming.
Yeah.
Just
Almost
bad.
as poor as...
That's what you mean.
Was it I'm the Pretty Thing That Lives
No.
in the House when she's like about to die on the staircase?
Oh, yeah, that was
That was some bad screaming.
Not
That was
as
some
bad
screaming.
as the screaming in Shimmer Lake when the ice addict was hiding in the ensuite.
Yeah, the prostitute guy.
Yeah.
That was shocking screaming.
But that was funny.
But that's what makes me think Adam Wingard is a guy who knows horror, that he was trying to stay away from horror almost.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have got that so wrong. I don't think he was trying to go down that route, because you're right, it was terrible.
When Light's on the bleachers during sport or whatever it was, and then Mia comes and sits with him, and he's like, literally out of nowhere, yeah, oh, come with me, I'm going to show you this Death Note. Like, just annoyed me how trusting he was straight away with this girl.
To this psycho.
And I
had that in my questions, actually. Why is he telling her everything? And you know what? Why isn't she asking more questions?
Yeah, she's just on straight away. She's like, oh, you weirdo. Like,
why is she asking, not about Kenny specifically, because he goes into details about Kenny, right? So she's not asking questions because he's either batshit crazy, or there's some really weird shit going on that she probably needs to figure out. But she was just like, whatever, mate. Like,
why is she so okay with this?
Yeah, good pickup.
their first kiss, where he's like, can I have permission to kiss you? I was like, just a little bit cringeworthy.
So you make a good point about the nerd and the cheerleader.
Yeah.
He never felt like a nerd to me. That was probably half the problem. Like, yes, he was doing everyone's homework for them, but he seemed like this kind of anti-establishment, really cool kind of guy.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe that was another reason with the casting that went wrong.
Another conversation between these two characters when they get this list that people are putting together of all the people they want killed because they've done bad things, and he has this sort of moral question where he's like, maybe people are just putting these names on the list because they had sex with
exactly
their girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then the corny line from her afterwards, like, well, if someone had sex with me, would you do that for me? I was like, that just didn't sit well.
So many of these things are just
Bad dialogue.
no, just that character of Mia didn't work.
Yeah.
Another thing that really frustrated me was all of a sudden, like, Al does this press conference where he walks out and then, the dad, the cop, has a go at him and he's like, oh, well, I've got this theory that he needs a name and a face to be able to kill them. Where did he come up with that idea? How did he come up with that idea?
Yeah.
What the... Like, you are a clever man if you've worked that out. Like,
It's like he's based his whole life around it, though, because he never shows his face and no one knows his name.
last thing I've got is there's a scene where Light's sitting around the table with his dad and his dad goes, I think I could tell if I was sitting across the room from a killer. And I was just like, ha ha.
That's so something that my mate would say.
Yeah. Hi, mate. Cool. That's all the scenes for me. What was the film trying to say? This isn't probably going to be a little bit interesting, I guess.
It is.
Yeah. What was the message of this film?
They play around. They play around with the idea of power and abusing it and how you should use it. And Light is obviously the example of what you should do with power and when it gets out of control. And Mia is the example of what are you doing with this power? You shouldn't have this power. But I don't think it was anything more than just how can you not have this commentary with this plot?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it felt. Like I don't think they were really trying to say something either way because it just felt too easy. Yeah. But you can't ignore that. There
was very trying a little bit about morals as well. Like who gets to choose what's right and what's wrong, and they made this really obvious towards the end when he goes to his locker. Light goes to his locker and he opens up the locker and in the door there's this poster that says "Moral people scare me." It was just like this blatant in your face, like, okay, so this is what we're sort of looking at. And, he has these conversations with his dad a lot as well about choosing the lesser of these two evils and things not being black and white. So it tries to go with that thing where maybe they're trying to say that Light is good and Mia is the bad use of power.
So is this a movie about teenage discovery and figuring out who you are and what you can do in the world? Or is it just a funny little fantasy film?
It's tough because, like, at the same... Yeah.
Because I think the other strong theme is about family. And they explore that pretty well, mainly through through father and son, but also exploring the idea of dealing with loss of your mum, and not only briefly, but I think that there is almost a combination of that morals and family that I think he's pretty strong on, Adam Wingard.
And I feel like they set this up at the start pretty well, where it's trying to work out, Light's trying to work out who he is as a person, and the sort of first scene you see is like he's doing these exam papers or tests for these kids, so he's like cheating almost, and it's like this question about who does he want to be in life? Does he want to be this person that cheats life, or does he want to have this influence on people and sort of...
Well, yeah, he's basically getting pushed around at the start because he's doing it even though he doesn't want to do it. And then he physically gets pushed around when he does try and stand up. He's almost got that crossroad where he's like, I can say something about him bullying, or I can just keep being me and doing my stuff in the background. And he steps up.
All right. What did we take from this film?
Well, I think we should talk more about this music. I think a lot of these melancholy ballads that they had completely controlled the mood of the film the whole time. And that was almost the best aspect of the film for me. They had that version of Reckless by Australian Crawl. They had Don't Change by In Excess, Take My Breath Away, I Don't Want to Live With Your Love, and then finally Air Supply's Power of Love. It just controlled the mood of this whole film the whole time. You were basically just kept completely on track with the music, and he did an awesome job with it.
Yeah, I've got exactly the same things. I like the music. It annoyed me when songs were cut off because I just wanted to hear the full song.
They were often better than what was going on.
I wouldn't mind this on a big screen.
I was going to say, I think just because it was a lot of things were just skipped over and rushed on a info, I reckon better as a 10-episode series than a movie.
And that
10-episode series, that's like a legit rewatchable segment.
10-episode series or a manga.
Or a manga,
anime.
Shout out to our friends at the Rewatchables.
IMDb?
I didn't know.
Already mentioned mine.
Yeah.
I looked up the Watari guy.
Okay.
Nothing at all. Does a lot of voice work. But the other one I was like, I wanted to look up Light because I'd seen him in something, and he was the main kid in Paper Towns, which is an adaptation of John Green.
And I think he was in Fault in Our Stars as well.
Yeah. So that's where I'd recognised him from as well.
He's also the brother from Hereditary.
Yeah. Learned that. Got any questions? I might have a few questions. Heater?
why could Mia write names in the book? Because it was Light's book, and constantly Ryuk, am I saying that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was like, if you don't want it, then we'll pass it on to someone else. But Mia could still write names in it when it was Light's book.
Yeah, I think anyone can write names in the book. But I just don't think she could see Ryuk.
Oh, okay. So only the book holder can see Ryuk, but anyone can write names in it.
So it seems.
Yeah, but I feel like at the start he made some deal about the person who owns the book writes the name. I get what you're asking.
I thought it was like the owner. He could only write the name, and that's why he was like, if you don't like it, don't worry, I'll pass it on to someone else. But then when Mia starts writing names and killing people, I'm like, well, then who cares who owns the book? Because anyone can just write names in, and it was a bit weird.
Why do you think that Ryuk chose Light in the first place?
It's a very good question. Why did the book decide to drop for him at that time?
Because Ryuk always said, I'll find someone else to do it, which means he found him in the first place.
Well, he mentioned, wasn't it the last owner had died? So maybe he saw Light as an easy target to create another death because he's the Death Note. So maybe he thought that he'd be able to overcome him, whereas he was able to overcome...
Yeah, because also wasn't it... I'm not sure if it was the previous owner or one of them, because they were saying, like, don't trust Ryuk, he's bad. So maybe he thought that Light was corruptible and he could be able to control him. And
I really wanted to know more about the whole Ryuk thing,
and like the history of it all.
The bloke who got closest only wrote down 2 letters. I was like, he's definitely going to write his name down at some point. He's going to figure out a way to do it, and he just didn't.
Maybe these are like little clues about what actually happens in the full series as well.
Very true.
They don't get to explain, and maybe the director thought he was doing a good job and just like giving these little hints to fans, but obviously it didn't pay off.
Very true. It's so hard when you're so passionate about something.
Yeah.
Can we just make sure though we don't have death threats to directors if you don't like something?
Yeah.
They
it's not the way to go about things.
They're passionate about it too, and they're trying to tell their side of the story. Just because it wasn't the way you liked it. Look at me jumping on my high horse.
I'm sure that if you have an understanding of this series, you'd get it. But what was the deal with the apples? So there's got to be some...
eating.
I know Ryuk eats them, but I'm guessing there's some sort of story behind these apples.
True. I just saw it as this is evidence that he's around. There's apple cores.
Apple cores, okay.
But maybe in the manga he only eats apples or something like that.
There's just a lot of focus on him picking the apples up off the table and coming home, and then there was that scene where Ryuk had eaten a whole bunch of apples. So what was that trying to say, that he'd eaten a whole lot? Was he stressed? Was he worried? Or was that because he's been working overtime and that was the scene that... I don't know.
He's killed lots of people, so he's hungry, needs to refuel more.
That's not a bad one. There was a nice little ode to E.T. when he left the apple there.
Yeah.
When he
at the doorway and the cupboard,
good question though.
And the other sort of one to do with food a little bit as well, the focus on Al not sleeping and having to eat lots of candy to stay awake.
The no sleep thing, why didn't he need
Is that
to
just
sleep?
showing that he's dedicated to...
I think he's
solving the...
Not dedicated, he's built to solve this kind of stuff.
To be this super detective.
And that's
doesn't need to sleep.
That's the thing that annoyed me when I thought he was like this robot. How long since you've slept, Al? He's like 32 hours. No one knows that.
He does.
But that's the thing. It annoyed me when he was like a robot, and I preferred it when he became humanized.
No, I'm sorry, I've got a couple more. So
keep going.
The end of the film really got me a little bit because you see Light in the bed with his dad explaining what he's actually done, and then you're getting these cuts of Al going to Mia's apartment and discovering the calculus book, and he finds the page from the Death Note in there with the
bodyguards or whatever.
With the bodyguards' names on it. Did you guys, I don't know if I was imagining this, did you see Al pick up a pen?
Oh, God.
I can't remember.
Because that literally, I was like...
You're right. Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Because he's about to write the name, isn't he?
Yeah.
But then I almost saw it in his eyes, like he was having some sort of, like he was falling asleep or passing, was he about to write Light's name?
Light's name, yeah.
I think you're supposed to think that.
I do remember that scene, I took it as he was about to write Light's name.
The facial expressions I saw him made it out like maybe he was about to pass out and not write it. So does that mean Light had actually written his name in the list of things as well? Because now he'd seen his face when they're in that. Or
doesn't know his name though.
Yeah, I thought
he doesn't know his full name.
I thought maybe he kind of was like, "Oh, this is a bit extreme. Like I'm not stooping this low to killing someone."
So he
boy.
obviously understood
Yeah.
it. Is it L understood exactly what happened?
I think so. Yeah, I think he understood the book by then.
Okay, cool.
Cool ending. I
Uh,
bet you if they make a sequel, which they say
It's
will be-
probably, yeah,
no. You know
it's
what? I bet you they won't. They won't even touch it.
last one's just a little point. I don't want to say this too loud in case it goes off, but my Google Home went off during this film. This is the first film during Netflix that my Google Home's gone off and gone, sorry, I can't help you with that.
Did it say? Hey Google?
Which
yeah,
point?
it was during the scene where Light's on the phone to Atari and he's like talking to him about, have you found his full name in the book before he gets shot?
Yeah.
And it just started going off like, oh, sorry, can't help you with that. What's going on?
That's awesome. I reckon they've put voice activation in this film.
So
you're trying to find El's real name.
Yeah.
So anyway, that I just thought that was an interesting thing.
Sure.
Hey Google, is it on?
Won't recognise your voice. I don't
Oh really? Okay. I was going to ask what El's real name.
It's been listening to everything we've been saying though, so
Yeah, for a long time.
so you can probably get this episode right now. All right, look, I think we're ready to wrap it up.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. So we'd like to go around and give the film a rating out of 5, and then give it an average as a team. Peter, start us.
So I guess, as I said before at the start, I thought it was a bit of a crappy movie, but I still found myself enjoying it. But it was just too many points that were skipped over, too much stuff that was rushed through to fully kind of get a grasp on the whole world of it. So it was okay in the end. I gave it 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5. Awesome. MJ?
Yeah, despite its flaws and me mentally picking them apart as I was watching it, the film eventually got going. It was aided by a great soundtrack to set the mood. I was actually able to get into it and enjoy the last half hour. It was an interesting concept that could have been done better, but still 2.5 stars.
So, a lot of overacting for me, and at times I really struggled to keep up with this, and I think that's probably where this idea would do better in a long form, like Heater said before.
Like it was
Give
created.
us a series like it was created. So you can actually work out what all these little things are rather than brushing over it. Going back, when I was doing these notes, going back over the film, there are a lot of clues about Mia that... about her wanting to get rid of agents, and she's like, I just need a name, that I didn't pick up on the first time, and I feel really stupid. And like, she even Light blamed it on Ryuk, and I was like, oh, Ryuk's done something bad.
I thought that too, yeah.
So it sort of got me like that.
That was
which
cool because
good,
it made Ryuk seem like a badass too.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand Light, but I just had this Natalie Imbruglia song in my head the whole time. Like, after I finished watching, I was singing that Torn song in my head. I was like, I am so torn. And dead serious. I know it sounds funny, but it was like, I couldn't get that song out of my head because I'm like, I am torn.
Another Australian song, which is good.
Yeah.
It does sound funny,
Fully
yes.
torn, but I'm giving this 3 out of 5 because I just enjoyed it. I know it's not.
It was.
It was just enjoyable.
I was watching it thinking, this sucks. At the end, I'm like, no, I liked it.
Yeah. It was just a bit of fun. All right, what does that give us, Heater?
2.5.
2.5 average out of 5. Yeah, that's all right. Exactly.
All out of faith.
This is how I feel. All right. Social media, we like to chuck up a question. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, @FlixForum. This week, I want to know, does this film make you want to check out the original material? Does it make you want to go and watch the anime or read the manga?
This conversation does.
Yeah, I kind of want to get a bit more into it, especially before Death Note 2 comes out.
No, I'm ready.
No,
I'm
ready?
ready to watch it now.
So please subscribe to us if you can. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, plenty of places to listen to us. Give us
Everywhere.
a 5-star rating if you can. Next week, we are checking out the 2017 comedy horror. It's called Little Evil. It's directed by Eli Craig. Mm-hmm. It stars Adam Scott. Is he a golfer?
He is.
He is?
Yeah.
Adam
He is.
Scott.
Not that Adam
Not
Scott.
Probably a different Adam
Okay,
Scott.
so Evangeline Lilly, Owen Atlas, Bridget Everett, Kyle Bornheimer, Krista Lila, Donald Faison, Carlo Gallo, Tyler Labine, Brad Williams, Clancy Brandt, and Sally Field.
It's a lot of people.
That is everyone in the film.
That is everyone. So check that film out so you can join
Check it
us.
out because we're going to do it next week and we want you to be ready to listen when
Yeah,
we do.
because we'll spoil it as usual.
Yeah.
Been a pleasure. Thanks for coming along. That was a good one.
Very good.
Thanks,
hey,
boys.
Look after your voice, please.
Yeah,
Actually, it
mate.
sounds
I will.
great, though. It would have been sounding real good for the listeners.
Thanks, mate.
Awesome. We'll see you guys next week.
See you then.
See you, boys.